to Leading Authentically. And this time we're having Mr. John Hades. And he will be speaking to us on developing a leadership empowerment mindset. Okay, very good. Thanks. Okay, let me send him a link. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay, so I'm gonna add him now. Okay, okay. Okay, very good. Set. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's going to be joining and those who will join now.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, let me see. Can you hear me? Let me see. Hello, I can't hear you. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, 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 good. Good. Is it morning over there or afternoon?
It is afternoon. It is
Okay,
afternoon.
okay, okay, okay. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, sir. I'm very, very grateful. Honestly, when I sent you a message and then you responded, I was really glad because I'd watched your works, I'd read some of the things you did, and I knew I saw authenticity in it, and I felt it was very important to have a leader like you help renew the mindset of young Africans, especially here in Africa. So, Mr. Hayden, Mr. John, he's a speaker, as an author of a book, which I really love the title. Well, though I've not got to read it deeply, but I've been watching his work. So, he's going to be speaking on developing a leadership empowerment mindset, and then we're going to ask questions. So, Mr. John, the floor is yours now.
Well,
Thank
I'm really thrilled to be here and spend some time with you anytime that I get the opportunity to speak to people anywhere, whether it be in Africa or in America. I always like to look at the individual, not the group, but the individual.
you.
And if you're watching this, you're showing up today, it's because you have some interest or you think there might be something here around how do
Mm,
I become a leader? Why is it important if I become a leader? How do I get my mindset right in order to act and behave like a leader? And I'll start today with a little bit of a story before we get into some how to's and action items to help you do it. I first got the opportunity to lead a team 10 years ago. And I got that opportunity because I coveted three big things. The first thing that I coveted was
wow.
power. The second thing that I coveted was money. And the third thing that I coveted was influence. And so when I got the opportunity to lead a team, lead other people, that is exactly how I led my show. I led with being a rough around the edges, but it was all about John. And one particular day, things were going really poorly in the business and with my team. And I did what any young leader would do. I called my most expensive team member into my office and I let her go at the end of the day. And when I let her go, I looked at her and I just completely unknowingly just let her go. And she looked at me, and I'll never forget the words that she said to me. She said, John, I didn't know where we were going. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And I certainly didn't know how it was helping us get there. Now, when you get the opportunity to sit in that seat, it is a really difficult thing to hear. especially when you think the problem is your team, it's not you. And because I was leading with power and authority and influence and caring about money, I led really poorly. There's a man named Jocko Willink. He says there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. And I was living proof of that. And I hated it. And when she left my office that night, I'm a pretty emotional guy as is. And I started crying. I couldn't take it. And I said, God, I don't know why that just happened, but I'm going to do everything in my power to not let that happen to other people. And so the last 10 years, we spent studying and interviewing and learning from the very best and the worst leaders on the planet, all in an effort to help you or anyone else not make those same mistakes that I did. So I want to start there today, and I've come to you from a very humble place, knowing that I failed from a leadership perspective, and I'm out to do something about it, to embrace some version of responsibility. And so wherever you are on your journey right now, in your leadership journey, it starts with embracing this responsibility to lead, to make a choice to lead. Most people are unwilling or unable to make that choice. Now, before we go any further, let's level set on what it means to be a leader. There are a lot of great definitions out there, and some of you might be thinking, well, it's just for John, or it's just for someone else. It's not. The way I define leadership is this: someone whose actions inspire, empower, and serve in order to elevate other people. Let me say that one more time. I'll do it slowly. Someone whose actions inspire, empower, and serve in order to elevate other people. And these words are chosen very carefully. It's not just about talking, it's about action. That's the first part. And then the second part is to inspire. To inspire. The word inspire, what it means is to breathe life into. Breathe life into. And if there's anything that we've learned through the pandemic, everything else all over the world today, it's that people need life breathed into them. They need someone that fills them up versus tear them down. I'll tell a quick story about an incredible woman named Connie Hawkins. And years ago, I live in North Carolina, which is on the east coast of the USA. And we had some riots, and they were racial riots to be exact. And these riots were going on in my city, and I really didn't like it. I am this middle-aged white guy, interjecting myself into a very racially driven, tense environment, but I just couldn't stand the situation in my city. So I wrote an article called "What Charlotte Needs is Leadership." What Charlotte needs is leadership. And I was so nervous about publishing this blog. It was just putting yourself out there. And I reluctantly said, yeah, I publish. And a couple minutes later, my phone rang. And the person at the other end of the phone said, "Is this John Eads?" And I said, maybe it's John Eads. And she said, "I just read your article and I'd love to talk to you about it." And that day, a woman named Connie Hawkins called me, and we talked about race, and we talked about leadership, and we talked about relationships. And for the next 7 years, Connie Hawkins has poured into me and encouraged me, inspired me with every single day of my life. I would not be sitting in front of you today if she had not done that. So the first part of leadership, right after making it an action-oriented thing, is to inspire people, to breathe life into them, just like Hawkins did for me. The second part of leadership is to empower. The title of our second day. Which the word empower, what it means is to help other people make decisions. Help other people make decisions. And too often, people do the opposite of that. They don't help anybody else make decisions. They micromanage the situation to ensure they get exactly what they want or they need. That's not what the best leaders do. In fact, they empower themselves to make decisions, and they empower others to take responsibility and ownership of their own life. Now, this is a big differentiator, a huge differentiator. If there's nothing else that you take away from today, it's this. Leadership, closest synonym, is responsibility. Leadership's closest synonym. The thing I want to think about when you think about leadership first is responsibility. Am I taking responsibility for myself and those that I'm responsible to? All right, let's back up. This is important. In leadership, you're not responsible for other people. You're responsible to other people. You're responsible to other people. So if we're going to empower ourselves and then empower other people to help make decisions, to take ownership over making decisions, it requires fact allow other people to take responsibility and for you to take responsibility as well. Okay, so we have serve, we have empower, then first we have inspire, then we have, lastly we have serve. All service means is to put other needs ahead of your own. Again, all serving is to put other people's needs ahead of your own. And when you and I wake up every single day, we think about whose needs? Our own. We think about our own needs. We're wired to think about what's in my best interest, not in what someone else's best interest. But the best leaders do the opposite. They're willing to get up every single morning and say, even though I might have these needs, I'm going to put the needs of somebody else before my own. And that's what servant leadership is all about. It's very easy to say, very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. So this when we inspire, when we the key to successful leadership today. Okay, so when we start talking about leadership, wherever you are in your journey, you can always think about, am I taking responsibility? And number two, if I'm taking responsibility for anyone else, or to someone else, am I inspiring them? Am I empowering them? And am I serving them to elevate others? And if you're doing that, you're leading. And that is good news, because when you're leading, you have incredible impact. It goes way beyond money. Let me say that again. When you're leading, you have an impact that goes way beyond money. Money is very important. We need to provide. We need to be able to do great things. And it is the fuel that keeps engines going, okay? But you can't take that to the grave with you. What you can do is impact other people, elevate others, and that leadership will live long past your time here. So the best leaders understand that the impact of leadership goes well beyond money. So that's the key idea, developing a leadership mindset. So how can I inspire, empower, and serve in order to elevate others? How can I embrace full responsibility for myself and to others? And then number three, how can then, once that's in place, How can I really think about the impact that I'm having that goes well beyond money? Hmm.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. John. I'm really, really grateful. Honestly, there was something that there was a question I want to ask about. You said leadership is being responsible to other people and not being responsible for people. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So the one of the hardest parts of leadership is that we want to control what other people do, the decisions that they make. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. We
Mm,
each have to embrace the responsibility to make decisions for ourselves. So we can't actually be responsible for somebody else because we can't make the decision for them, but we can be responsible to them, meaning that because I'm leading or I'm making that choice to lead, I feel responsible to these people to help them get in the very best situation we can, to get the best results that we can. I want to help them make better decisions, but I can't make those decisions for them. For them. And it's a little bit different mindset. It's a different mindset.
wow. Wow. That's a different perspective to what leadership really means. And thank you very much for that. So I want to ask a question that's related to um, you know, what we're experiencing here in Africa, let's say universally in Africa here. And the problem is what what how do you define empowerment? Now, in Africa, let me say in West Africa, we have we have a mindset about empowerment, being that you need to actually get something, like before you can be inspired, you need to give something to get something. So let's say a political leader wants to actually empower people, and why he would do that is because of he first of all needs you to vote for him before he actually empowers you. So how do we define that? How do we define that as leaders and youth leaders?
So empowerment, again, what it means is to help to take ownership over making decisions, to making decisions. And why this is so important today, specifically, again, in the context of Africa, I'm not exactly sure, but in America right now, what people desire and what they need in life is to have some ability to make the decisions for myself, not because somebody else told me to do it. So what happens is when you tell someone to do something, you don't get their full potential. You get a version of the full potential of what they're capable of. But when they make the decision to do it, now they're much more likely to give everything that they have. And
Mm,
it's a difficult thing to do because we want to control, but that is the opposite of what we want to do. The opposite of what we want to do. And
wow.
as you start thinking about this, uh, there's something that's been standing out to me lately about someone's belief that they're responsible to make these decisions, their belief that they're good enough, their belief that they're worthy enough, their belief that they're right where they're supposed to be right now to help continue to learn and grow. This belief that they're right here. And the reason why this belief is so important for each of us to make a decision is because our beliefs determine our behavior. I'm going to say that one
Mm,
again. Our beliefs determine our behavior. So if I believe upstairs, if I believe that I'm capable of leading, I'm capable of inspiring and empowering and serving other people, now I have a belief that I'm doing that, and I'm much more likely to go apply it in my daily life. Our beliefs determine our behaviors. Now, that's the beautiful part. Now, here's the downside to that. If you don't believe that you're good enough to do that, or worthy enough to do that, or worthy of good things to happen in your life, what's the likelihood that your behaviors reflect in your
mm,
life? going to take a stroke of lightning, of genius, to change your current situation. So it starts with our mind. It starts with believing that we can do these things, that we're good enough, that we're worthy enough. And nobody can give that to you. There was a this idea of our mind and our mindset and our beliefs. Like, it can't be stressed enough, because if you want to change your life, you have to change your mind. It starts there. It doesn't start the other way. We can't expect good things to happen and then we're going to become more confident, or we're going to believe that we can do it. It has to start in our mind, and then our behaviors will reflect what we believe.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much. I think I'm writing a lot of notes right now. Thank you so much, Sir John. I really like doing a lot of notes. So the other question, which I believe it's very, very important, is how does a leader know when to give, when to empower to a level where they make people independent, not dependent on them? So a form of independent empowerment mindset where a leader empowers a leader without having to take too much of themselves, and at the same time not give below themselves, and at the same time make people independent after empowering them. How does a leader manage such situation?
It's a great question. And here's why it's such a great question. Because we don't want to empower someone to make a decision when they don't have the skill or the ability to make it successfully. In some ways, you're setting them up to fail. And while failure is not final, failure is feedback. I would rather leaders empower, coach, and develop and make sure they're ready. Not all the way ready, but we've got to understand where people are in their development and then empower them to that level. You wouldn't empower a 12-year-old to drive a car. She don't know. But you might empower them about where they want to go or where they want to go eat, because they might know that. We want to empower them in the sphere of knowledge or skill someone has or desires. It's a little more art than science. A little more art than science.
Okay. Hello. Oh, sorry about the network. So,
Okay, so I think we might have to ask Mr. John once again. Okay. Okay. Wow, this is a very interesting section. Very, very interesting.
okay. Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I think there, but yeah, hopefully this idea will help you a little bit more art than science.
I didn't hear that. What did you say?
This idea of empowering people where they are, not just empowering everyone the same. I think it's really a critical idea for leaders to focus on a little bit more art than science.
Wow, 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 wow. That means so they get to a point in the leadership process where it's more of science when it comes to empowerment than just heart. Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. John. Okay, so I think the last question, okay, before the last question is how does a leader know how much to give of themselves so that they don't feel empty after giving? So naturally leaders like to give. So How do leaders get to a point where after giving, they know when to give and they know how much to give? So they don't get carried away by the excess need to give and then eventually become empty in the process of having to give so much of themselves.
The good news is everything that you just said, it works the opposite. The more you give, the better you feel. Not we don't give to feel good, but that's the outcome of what happens. So where you actually get empty is when you start making selfish decisions and you start filling that emptiness with other things. But when you're giving to other people out of the right place in your heart and in your mind to go inspire, empower, and serve, it doesn't wear you down because it fills you up.
Wow.
Now that doesn't mean there aren't times when you got to go recharge a battery or you've got to go take some time for yourself to read or work out. You need to take care of yourself first. But I'm saying when you're giving of yourself to others, rarely have I seen that it doesn't fill you up as a byproduct of serving other people.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much, Mr. John. Thank you so much. Okay, so the last question is this. So we asked about leaders. Every speaker we have here, we're actually trying to really change the mindset of young people. We're checking at the level of exposure of leadership in the US and other places of the world. We realize that in Africa, we're lacking behind. And I'm taking up this responsibility to actually help young people coming up and creating content for the future and for the present people who will be in need of content like this. So the question I would like to ask is this. You've had experience in different organizations, different companies, different people. What advice, in few words, what advice would you tell young people? What would you want young people should know about what leadership truly means and what it should be?
No one can do it for you. It doesn't matter how much your mom or your dad or a teacher or an uncle or an aunt wants you to make a positive impact on the world. It won't happen until you choose to do it. The word decision comes from a Latin word which means to cut off. So if I would say to anything to young people is, what do you need to cut out of your life to go do more meaningful things? What do you need to cut out of your life to go do more meaningful things? Because when you do meaningful things like be a leader and inspire and empower and serve other people, those are the things that make a difference in this world and make an impact that goes beyond money, which is precisely what Africa needs and the world needs for that matter. We need people like you to choose leadership. Wow.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. I'm really grateful. Really, really honored to have you. Honestly, I'm really grateful. I was talking to someone about you and I'm so glad that this man had to, answer my invitation. And I'm really, really grateful. Honestly grateful. And we hope we would have you one day physically in Nigeria or in Africa, in Ghana, somewhere in Africa one day.
I can't wait. One day, it will happen. It will happen. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay.